Welcome to the land of barbecue, basketball, and the Blue Ridge Parkway, where North Carolina promises sweet tea and affordable coastal living. At least that is what the tourism board wants you to believe. In reality, some corners of this state come with crime rates rivaling big city chaos, poverty that would make your wallet weep, and hurricanes that arrive more often than your morning post. We are talking towns where violent crime exceeds the national average by 400%, and cities where 1 in 13 residents becomes a victim annually. We are counting down the 12 absolute worst places to live in North Carolina. Before we dive in, if you find this helpful, tap that subscribe button. You will not want to miss what is coming next. 12. Whiteville, the property crime capital. We begin our countdown in Columbus County with a town that manages to pack big city problems into a population of just 5,400 people. Whiteville holds the unfortunate distinction of having one of the highest property crime rates in the entire state. With a combined crime rate exceeding 109 incidents per 1,000 residents, the numbers tell a story that locals know all too well. The violent crime rate sits at roughly 14.6 per 1,000, while property crime reaches a staggering 95 per 1,000. That means roughly 1 in 10 residents could become a property crime victim in any given year. The economic picture explains much of this. Around a third of the population lives in poverty, and limited job opportunities create an environment where desperation becomes routine. Housing is cheap here, with median home values sitting well below state averages. But affordability comes with a catch. Your car stereo, your garden tools, anything left unattended becomes fair game. The town center shows flashes of charm, but drive a few streets in any direction and you will see the boarded windows that tell a different story. Whiteville is not beyond redemption, but anyone considering a move here needs to understand that low house prices often come with costs that never appear on a mortgage statement. 11. Rockingham. The post-Speedway slide. Rockingham once had a claim to fame. The North Carolina Speedway brought tourists, revenue, and national attention to this Richmond County town. Then in 2004, NASCAR pulled out, and the economic engine quite literally left town. Today, with a population of roughly 9,000, Rockingham posts a crime rate that sits 110% above the North Carolina average. The total crime rate reaches approximately 54 incidents per 1,000 residents. Much of the criminal activity traces back to gangs and drug problems that moved in as legitimate opportunities moved out. The poverty rate hovers around 25%, and the downtown that once buzzed on race weekends now features empty storefronts that outnumber thriving businesses. Some residents say the northeast part of the city remains relatively safe, but those safe pockets grow smaller each year. Property crime dominates the statistics, with burglary and vehicle theft creating an atmosphere of perpetual vigilance. The Northeast may offer refuge, but the overall trajectory of Rockingham gives little reason for optimism. Unless you have a specific job waiting or deep family ties, this is a town best viewed from the motorway. 10. Laurinburg. Scotland County struggles. Near the South Carolina border sits Laurinburg, a town that demonstrates how poverty creates its own gravity. With a population of roughly 15,000, Laurinburg battles a poverty rate exceeding 33%. That means 1 in 3 residents lives at or below the poverty line. The unemployment rate runs 58% higher than the national average, and the median household income struggles to reach $40,000. Crime follows economic distress like night follows day. Laurinburg holds the 5th highest violent crime rate in North Carolina, and property crime adds another layer of concern. The town once saw unemployment top 18% during the recession and has only partially recovered. Limited job opportunities and economic stagnation make this a tough place to build a life. To be fair, Laurinburg has assets. Richmond Community College and proximity to universities create some educational infrastructure. The Interstate 74 corridor promises economic development that always seems to be arriving next year. But promises do not pay bills, and the statistics paint a picture of a community still waiting for a turnaround that keeps getting delayed. 9. Henderson, the Vance County verdict. Henderson carries a reputation it cannot escape. With a population of roughly 15,000, this Vance County city has been called the murder capital of North Carolina. That title may sound sensational until you examine the numbers. The violent crime rate reaches approximately 1,770 incidents per 100,000 residents. That places Henderson in the bottom 10% of American cities for safety. The chance of becoming a violent crime victim here sits at roughly 1 in 56. Property crime adds to the burden, with rates exceeding 4,000 incidents per 100,000 residents. In total, you face a 1 in 14 chance of becoming a crime victim in Henderson each year. The poverty rate approaches 30%, and median household income hovers around $32,000. The city sits an hour from Raleigh, close enough to see prosperity, but too far to benefit from it. Downtown Henderson has beautiful historic architecture, but many of those buildings stand vacant. The locals who can afford to leave often do, creating a cycle that feeds on itself. Henderson needs investment and opportunity, but the numbers suggest both remain in short supply. 8. Kinston, the Lenoir County lament. Eastern North Carolina has produced many struggling cities, but Kinston stands out even in that crowded field. With a population of roughly 19,000, Kinston carries a crime index that places it worse than 97% of American cities. The 2024 crime rate rose by 23% compared to the previous year. In the last reporting year, there were 137 violent crimes and 627 property crimes. That translates to roughly 708 violent crimes per 100,000 residents, nearly double the national average. The murder rate reached 47 per 100,000, making Kinston genuinely dangerous by any reasonable measure. 81% of surveyed residents reported feeling unsafe walking alone at night. The economic foundations crumbled years ago when manufacturing left. The poverty rate approaches 28%, and median household income barely reaches $33,000. Local forums are filled with residents lamenting the decline from what was once a thriving community. The schools need improvement, the roads need repair, and the leadership needs a vision. For now, Kinston remains a cautionary tale about what happens when economic decline goes unaddressed for too long. If you want to avoid ending up somewhere the statistics suggest you should probably avoid, hit that subscribe button. I post these breakdowns every week with real numbers and honest assessments, so your next move is not into a postcode where the main local industry appears to be vehicle theft. 7. Rocky Mount, the tale of two counties. Rocky Mount presents a peculiar challenge. The city straddles Nash and Edgecombe counties, and that administrative split reflects a deeper divide. With a population exceeding 54,000, Rocky Mount has one of the highest crime rates in America compared to communities of similar size. The violent crime rate reaches 881 per 100,000 residents. That sits 138% above the national average. Property crime adds another layer, with roughly 2,769 incidents per 100,000 residents. Your chance of becoming a crime victim here is roughly 1 in 24. 88% of surveyed residents expressed concerns about safety and felt uncomfortable walking alone at night. The city recorded 19 murders in the last reporting year, equating to 35 murders per 100,000 people. The poverty rate exceeds 21%, and unemployment runs higher than state averages. Abandoned buildings mark certain neighborhoods, and urban decay creates environments where illegal activities find shelter. The downtown has seen attempts at revitalization, but the surrounding areas continue to struggle. Rocky Mount has history, culture, and residents who genuinely love their community. But loving a place does not change the fact that the numbers here demand serious caution. 6. Goldsboro, the Seymour Johnson shadow. Wayne County is home to Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, and Goldsboro exists largely in its orbit. With a population of roughly 33,000, Goldsboro should benefit from that federal presence. Instead, it posts crime rates that rank worse than 98% of American cities. The 2024 crime rate, while down 16% from the previous year, still leaves the city with roughly 77 incidents per 1,000 residents. Your chance of becoming a property crime victim is 1 in 16. Your chance of becoming a victim of any crime is 1 in 13. The city recorded 15 homicides in the latest reporting year, and the property crime rate exceeds 5,000 incidents per 100,000 residents. The poverty rate approaches 24%, and median household income sits around $36,000. The military base provides some economic stability, but that stability does not extend evenly across the city. Certain neighborhoods benefit while others seem entirely disconnected from the base economy. Goldsboro is showing signs of improvement, with police reporting a 28% decrease in overall crime during 2025. But even with those improvements, the baseline remains troublingly high. 5. Greenville, the university blind spot. Greenville surprises people who assume a university town must be safe. East Carolina University brings nearly 30,000 students into this Pitt County city, creating a population that fluctuates with the academic calendar. The overall crime rate sits 42% above the national average. Violent crime reaches 568 incidents per 100,000 residents, while property crime hits 2,728 per 100,000. 12 murders were reported in the most recent year. 67% of surveyed residents felt apprehensive about walking alone at night. Students and permanent residents describe a disconnect between the university bubble and the surrounding community. One student reported hearing about shootings, stabbings, and robberies on a seemingly frequent basis, even when official statistics show improvement. The reality is that perception matters as much as statistics when evaluating whether a place feels safe. The rental market dysfunction, driven by student demand, pushes prices higher while accepting lower standards. The economy is healthcare focused, which provides some stability but limited diversity. Greenville works for some people, particularly young professionals in medical fields. But families, considering a long-term move, should examine neighborhoods carefully. 4. Wilmington, the coastal contradiction. Now we reach entries that will generate controversy. Wilmington is genuinely desirable in many ways. The beaches, the Riverwalk, the film industry presence, the craft beer scene. People want to live here, and that desire has consequences. Home values now average around $412,000 within city limits, with median sale prices reaching $423,000 as of late 2025. A decade ago, the median was roughly $225,000. But housing costs tell only part of the story. Insurance is where Wilmington becomes genuinely problematic. New Hanover County, home to Wilmington, ranks highest in North Carolina for climate and insurance vulnerability. Home insurance premiums already exceed $6,600 per year on average, with projections suggesting that number could approach $8,000 by 2026. Coastal homeowners also need separate wind and flood coverage, and those rates are also increasing. When discussing housing affordability issues in the Wilmington region, these constant insurance increases have a significant impact. Service workers are getting priced out, restaurants struggle to find employees, and homelessness rises as low-income residents cannot cover rising rent payments. The affordable housing shortage is acute. A 184-unit property received 300 applications before it even opened. Wilmington works brilliantly if you arrive with substantial savings and a remote job. For everyone else, the math increasingly does not work. 3. Fayetteville, the sprawling challenge. Known locally by a nickname that references its violent reputation, Fayetteville sits adjacent to Fort Liberty and has grown to become the 6th largest city in North Carolina with over 209,000 residents. The city posts a crime rate that makes it safer than only 8% of North Carolina cities and 3% of cities nationwide. The total number of daily crimes runs 1.6 times above the state average, and 1.77 times above the national average. In the most recent year, there were 35 murders, translating to 17 per 100,000 residents. 77% of surveyed residents said they felt unsafe and would not walk alone at night. To be fair, the trends show improvement. Total crime fell 18% compared to the previous year, and homicides dropped by 22%. Crime in Fayetteville has declined almost 35% since 2014. But the police chief has expressed concern about rising juvenile crime, with some statistics nearly doubling year over year. The poverty rate exceeds 20%, schools are underfunded, and the economic prospects outside the military remain limited. Fayetteville sprawls across Cumberland County without a clear center, making neighborhood selection crucial. Some areas offer decent quality of life, others should be avoided entirely. The difference can be measured in streets. Number 2. Henderson and Lumberton comparison. Before we reach number 1, we need to acknowledge that both Henderson and Lumberton could legitimately claim the top position, depending on which metrics you prioritize. Henderson wins on violent crime concentration in a smaller population. Lumberton wins on overall dysfunction and total crime volume. Both represent failures of economic development, infrastructure investment, and community support that span decades. Both deserve better than they have received from state and federal authorities. And both contain residents fighting daily to improve their communities despite overwhelming odds. The people who live in these places are not statistics. They are families making the best of difficult circumstances. The numbers we discuss reflect systemic problems, not personal failings. 1. Lumberton. The most dangerous place in North Carolina. We arrive at the undisputed holder of North Carolina's most troubling distinction. Lumberton, the county seat of Robeson County, posts crime statistics that place it among the most dangerous communities in the entire United States. The crime rate reaches approximately 136 incidents per 1,000 residents. That exceeds the national average by 486%. Your chance of becoming a crime victim is roughly 1 in 27. The violent crime rate sits at roughly 2,400 per 100,000 residents, nearly 550% above the national average. Property crime reaches 11,231 per 100,000, or 475% above average. The city has one of the highest rates of motor vehicle theft in the nation. Your chance of having your car stolen is approximately 1 in 95. But crime statistics only begin to explain Lumberton's difficulties. In October 2016, Hurricane Matthew dumped 20 inches of rain on this community, 80 miles from the coast. The Lumber River crested at 28 feet, the highest ever recorded. The city lost power for 5 days. The water treatment plant flooded. Residents went without water for 3 weeks. Millions of dollars in damage. Then, 23 months later, Hurricane Florence hit. Another catastrophic flood. Families who had just finished rebuilding lost everything again. Some residents describe it as 2 1,000-year floods in less than 2 years. The poverty rate approaches 31%. Median household income hovers around $32,000. The unemployment rate runs higher than state averages. One resident noted that the crime needs to be put to rest and the judicial system lacks proper proceedings. Another described the cycle of crime passing from generation to generation. Lumberton has history and community. The Lumbee people, Native Americans who have lived along this river for centuries, call this area home. There are good people here fighting for their community. But the combination of natural disasters, economic desperation, and crime creates a convergence of difficulties that make Lumberton the worst place to live in North Carolina by virtually any measure. And if you found this useful, please subscribe and make sure to watch the next video appearing on your screen right now.